Good morning and welcome to Song of Solomon chapter 6. This is so exciting. I'm thrilled about being in this chapter. I'm so excited. We made it through the first 5 chapters, and we talked about the acquaintance phase and how desire and responsibility took us into the consummation of marriage phase with Jesus, into the deep relationship, but the courting never stopped, the love never stopped, and how a second, all that led into a second encounter, which at that point produced something different. We came up chasing Jesus after this, and what happened is a change of events. We brought Jesus in first, and on the second encounter, it brought us out in the search for God through great desire. And in that, while we're on that search, we will find ourselves walking through persecution from the same people that helped us find Jesus before, or were catalysts before, or end up being persecuted, bringing persecution that's different. It's a real interesting thing that's explained in there. And then we went out and we're just set. We're just like, I'm going. I'm lovesick. I love God. I'm walking this thing out. I'm not swerving to the right or to the left. And so then we come to chapter 6, and the first thing that's happening is the daughters of Jerusalem are saying, "Where is this guy, that we may seek him with you?" It's so amazing that her life now is producing fruit to the point to where those who see her are saying, "I got to know this person. Who is this that somebody lives like this for? Where is he? Where is he?" And so they're saying, where is he that we may seek him with you? That's what the daughters of Jerusalem say. And she says, "My beloved is in his garden, and he's doing this in his garden." And this is the most amazing thing, because you remember the first chapter, what was she asking? She said, "Where is he? Where do you feed your sheep? Where?" And they said, "If you don't know, beloved, if you don't know," the shepherds, the men of God, the cloud of witnesses, these people said, "If you don't know, then follow in the footsteps of the flock." And so that's what she did. But now she's at a place in maturity where they're saying, "Where is he?" And she's saying, "Oh, he's down here. He's down here in his garden, tending it." And it's such an amazing transformation and sight to see that now she's walking in maturity. And it talks about in this chapter about how many queens and concubines Solomon has. It's like 80 of one, 60 of the other, and unlimited virgins. But he starts talking about her. So he's got all these people who are after him and are his in different phases of relationship, but he's talking about her. And why is he talking about her? Because she's walking in maturity, because she's walking in desire, in maturity, in relationship with him. She's putting all of this together and walking with the king. And so he's talking about her. She knows where he is, and in the midst of all those people, he's talking about her. It's so amazing. And then you find a little later in the chapter, she says, "I went down to the garden to check on the verdure of the valley, to check on things." So now she not only knew he was down there, but now you remember in chapter 2, I talked about he was saying, "Rise up and come away with me, rise up and come away." He was wooing and calling her. Now she's walked through this thing enough where she's saying, "I went down to the garden. I went down. I did it myself, to check on things, to see how things were going." She's learning to tend her own garden, because he comes there, because the king comes there. So she's on her own, beyond. She's not getting caught up in all the fascination of things he's saying to her in the wrong way and stopping. She's not getting caught up in all the the testimony that she's bringing to the daughters of Jerusalem, and that they're chasing after this because of her. No, she's going down to the garden herself in maturity, and seeing how things are going and tending to it to herself. It's just amazing. And then the last thing in this chapter to highlight is when she's down in the garden, she says, "I went down to the garden to check on how things were going, the verdure valley." She said, "Before I was even aware, my soul made me as the chariots, brought me to the king's retinue. My soul carried me like a chariot to the king's company, to the king and his company of people." So it's such an amazing picture that she went down in responsibility and maturity and being proactive and going in delight and desire, going down into this garden to check on things. And while she's there checking on things, her desire, listen to this, listen. You got to get desire out of this book. Do you want Jesus to draw near to you? He is so close when we desire him in truth. That if you could take one thing from this book besides the maturity thing, it's desire. It's don't ever lose the desire while we mature and walk this thing out for God. She said, while I was down in the garden checking things out, my desire brought me into the company of the king. And so she found herself all of a sudden in the presence of royalty because of her desire. She was just down in the garden, and all of a sudden her soul became like a chariot and transported her into a royal company. And I believe this is what Yahweh does. This is what Jesus does when we walk in maturity. We walk through all these things, and we concern ourselves with loving the King. We concern ourselves with desire for the King and tending to our garden. And while we're doing that, what we find is we find ourselves in the presence of royalty. And they start saying, it looks like she took off or became conscious of where she was at, and that was not what her point was for being there, but it's where she was transported to. And she's saying, what do you want with me? And they're real complimentary. They're like, hey, come return. And she's like, what do you want in me? Such an amazing picture. God bless you. May we walk in desire and in maturity as we walk this thing out, and may we enjoy the journey and where it takes us, and how we are destined to walk among and in and as royalty. God bless you. Shalom.